anniversary Ruby Masquerade Ball will be held at one event venue in Quincy tomorrow evening. It's a celebration of the work that staff, advocates, and allies do to keep the Quincy community safe from domestic and sexual violence. Quanada has worked especially hard for years to ensure people both in Quincy and across the tri-states don't become victims to domestic and sexual violence.
Really important, crucial safety services to keep people safe, to keep people alive, and to help them heal in this community. And we obviously haven't done that alone. We have done that in partnership, starting from the beginning when it was actually other agencies.
For more information regarding Quanada's domestic and sexual violence crisis hotline, you can visit WGEM.com.